Well, hi there. Welcome to the Project Cost of Goods Sold and Pricing Calculator video, where I'll show you how to use this calculator in your own handmade, creative, or craft business. So, I'm Nancy Smith, aka the Yarny Bookkeeper, and you've gotten access to the Project Cost of Goods Sold and Pricing Calculator via a freebie on my website or through a Handmade Business Bookkeeping Academy membership. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to take a quick minute to introduce myself to you. I'm a maker, mostly amigurumi, and I knit as well as crochet. I'm a career bookkeeper, been a bookkeeper working with numbers for well over 30 years now. But here's the thing, I'm not your bookkeeper, meaning I can't offer you personal advice about the bookkeeping for your business because I don't know the specifics of what you do. But I can offer you general advice that could have a positive impact on your business. I'm also not a CPA, and while I do have an associate's degree in accounting, taxes were never anything I wanted to do. My mission? Well, it's to empower handmade, creative, and craft business owners to understand their bookkeeping and finances so that they know that they're making the money they deserve. Okay, so enough about me. Let's talk about cost of goods sold and pricing. We all love what we do, but if we're really being completely honest, pricing our finished items and patterns for profit can be tough. But profit's the icing on the cake. But often we have no idea what it cost us to make that item that we intend to sell. And if we don't know what it cost us to make that item, well, how do we even know how to price it, let alone price it so we can actually make a profit? Unfortunately, there's no exact or single pricing method, even though a lot of the coaches will tell you that their pricing formula is the only one you'll ever need. Really, good and accurate pricing in your bookkeeping involves knowing the cost of the materials you used for cost of goods sold, and that's the bookkeeping entry that you need to make when you sell the item. You need to know the retail price of the materials you used for pricing. You need to know how much time you spent making that item or producing the pattern, and again, that's for pricing. You need to know what your fair hourly wage is for pricing. You need to know what you'd like to have as a profit percentage or profit margin for pricing. And then finally, you need to know your resale and wholesale prices for selling the finished items, and that's for pricing. Yeah, I know. That's a lot of time working with and dealing with numbers. And that's exactly why I created the Project Cost of Goods Sold and Pricing Calculator that I use in my own handmade business to help me figure out my own pricing. And I'm sharing it with you. Yes, you still need to deal with some numbers, but the math is all done for you with the built-in formulas in the calculator. So here's what you need to know about each project. What and how much you used, okay, and you can measure your materials or your yarn in yards, ounces, grams, meters, or any combination. You need to know the cost of what you used, and that's for your cost of goods sold calculation. You need to know the retail price of the materials that you used, and that's for your pricing. You need to know how long it took you to make it, and again, that's for pricing. You need to have a fair hourly wage for pricing, and you need to know your markup percentage so that you can price your item correctly. And you're just going to plug those numbers in and then let the calculator do the math for you. Plus, it will also give you a pricing comparison using other popular pricing methods. Plus, It's going to give you a permanent record in case you ever want to make the same item again using the same materials, but maybe different colors. Okay, so enough talk. Let's see all this in action, and I'll show you how I keep track of things when I made Belladonna the Good Witch a couple of years ago. So here's the project cost of goods sold and pricing calculator. Now, there's two versions. There's a landscape version, which is easier to view on a computer screen, and a portrait version, which is actually easier to print out. Both of them are going to do the math for you once you enter the yardages into the actual spreadsheet. But you still need to keep track of your yardages and write them down while you're making the item. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to create a copy of this master spreadsheet. So you're going to right click on the tab that says Master Landscape, and you're going to choose Move or Copy, and you're going to click the Create a Copy button, and you're going to tell it where you want to save it, and then you're going to click OK. And then you're going to right click on, and it's going to show up as Master Landscape 2. You're going to right click on that tab, you're going to choose Rename, and you're going to name the sheet whatever it the same name as the item you're making. I'd call this one Belladonna. Now I've cheated a little bit so that I wouldn't have to pause throughout this video and then come back. Once you have that copy, what you want to do is you want to enter basic information. So what I've done here is I've my project name, the designer, the yarn that I'm going to use, the crochet hook size that I'm using, and the finished size of the item that I'm making. Then along the top here in these pink boxes, I enter the yarn names. Now, this is really pretty cool because when you enter the yarn names up here in row 12 in these pink boxes, they're going to automatically get copied down into row 41. So I'm going to show you something really cool here. So I'm going to highlight row 41 just so you can see where I'm at. And I'm going to come up here into column M, and I'm going to add pink, okay, because I also used pink yarn in this. So I type it in, and now watch column M down here in row 41, and as soon as I hit enter, that same color comes down here in row 41. So that's pretty cool, right? It's all about working smarter. Now, here's something important. If you're using QuickBooks or Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, you don't need to do this next step, because as you build the inventory assembly in QuickBooks or the composite inventory item in Zoho, it will automatically provide you with the costs based on the amounts that you used. But if you're using a spreadsheet system for inventory, I'd also suggest that you add the cost per yard or ounce, as well as the retail price per yard or ounce in rows 43 and 44 or 45 in those pink fields. So I've already done this, and if you look in row 43, and let me just highlight that for you because I want to make sure that you're following along, you can see that I've entered my cost per yard or ounce, however I'm measuring. And then I did the same thing in row 45. All right, so now you're ready to go ahead and print this out. As you're making your item, or as I made belladonna, I kept track of how much yarn I used in each of these colorways, and I wrote it down on my paper version, which is a whole lot better than keeping track of all that info on Post-it notes or a bunch of them. So when you finish your product, all right, you want to open your calculator. You want to come to this tab, okay, and now we're just going to enter the final totals that were used. So I took a shortcut here. I didn't put down any of my body parts. I just put in the yarn colors that I used. And here I'm going to add in my total yardage. Now, when I enter at something here I'm going to enter 143 yards here in the Kanai column. And if you watch, and I'm going to highlight this for you, as soon as you put in the yardage for the color, it automatically pops down here in row 42, and then it multiplies it and gives you a total cost for that particular yarn color. Okay, so I had 143 yards at 0.01344 cents per yard to give me $1.91 in a cost. Now, it did the same thing. It multiplied the 143 yards by my sell price or my retail cost of 0.01668 to give me a selling price of $2.39. Now, I know this is going to be a little confusing. I can't fit all of this in one screen. But if you come up here and you look at the sell price section at the top, you can see it's automatically updated the retail cost of materials, and it's starting to work up the full sell price. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue on, and I'm going to enter my yardages. I used 26.5 yards of the Fantasy, 12 yards of the Bright Citrus, 51 yards of the Antique Cream. Oops, didn't hit that hard enough in either spot. So I'm going to go 12, and then I'm going to do 51. And I did 67 yards of the Hot Orchid and 40 yards of the Pink. So now you can see it's done all my calculations down here at the bottom, and it's transferred everything up here into the top. Now, I also used 2 spider buttons, and I used 2, and my cost each was 10 cents. My retail was the same because I didn't get this item on sale. Okay, and you can see these numbers up here in this sell price block automatically update. I also used some polyfill, and I used 2 ounces, 2.5 ounces of polyfill, and my cost is 0.34763 per ounce, and my sell price is 0.0436, and here we go. Okay, so now I know that when I sell belladonna, that my cost of goods sold entry in my bookkeeping system is going to be $5.88. But I'm not done yet, okay? So now I need to know how long it took me. So it took me 4 hours or 240 minutes. All right, so I'm going to put 4 hours in the time to make. Next, I need to know my fair hourly wage, and I'm paying myself $15 per hour, and I want a 10% overhead and profit. Okay, so now I kind of know that I want to sell Belladonna for $74.70. Now, let's look at some of these other common pricing methods. If you are a fan of the old materials times 3, then your sell price would be $17.64. Materials times 4, you would sell Belladonna for $23.52. If you did materials at retail times 3, you would sell for $23.73. Materials at retail times 4, $31.64 would be your sell price. If you did a flat price per yard, okay, plus materials at retail. So let's say you paid yourself 20 cents per yard. You would sell Belladonna for $75.81. If you said, okay, I'm going to charge a flat price per yard for multiple colors plus the retail materials at retail, and let's say you said 25 cents per yard, because, hey, that means you got a lot of ends to weave in. Now you would sell Belladonna for $92.78. If this was black yarn and you charged a higher price to work with black yarn on a yard by yard basis, well, let's say you charged 30 cents per hour to work with black yarn plus your materials at retail. Then she'd be $109.76. If you charged a flat rate per hour, $60 would be your sell price. If you did flat rate per hour plus the cost of materials, $65.88. If you did that flat rate per hour plus the retail cost of materials, then $67.91. And again, so now you've got all of these different prices based on different pricing scenarios. And you can say, $109 is way more than anybody would pay for this. Maybe $92 is also the same, way too much. But yet, selling Belladonna for $17.64 after you spent 4 hours making it, yeah, no, you're never going to make a profit that way. So this just kind of gives you an idea of different pricing. Obviously, you can definitely decide on something different, but this gives you a starting point. So this is as easy as it gets, all right? The hardest part is keeping track of your time and knowing how much you paid for the materials that you used and making sure that you know the retail cost of the materials for pricing. Because let's face it, you need to make sure that you can cover the retail price of the yarn that you used in case you ever want to go and buy more. So that's pretty much all there is to the cost of goods sold and pricing calculator. And if you liked this video, you may want to think about joining the Handmade Business Bookkeeping Academy, where you have access to absolutely everything I've ever done as far as bookkeeping for handmade, creative, or craft business. And I'm sure you'll find something of interest that will help you. You can learn more by clicking this link right here, and you can learn about everything that's included in the Handmade Business Bookkeeping Academy. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have found this little video to be helpful. And seriously, shoot me an email at nancy@yarnybookkeeper.com and let me know how you like the project cost of goods sold and pricing calculator. Thanks. Bye.